Hi, my name's Emily Skip. I am a private with the Royal Wessex Yeomanry. I'm attached arms with them and training as a combat medical technician. At DENS, I am an infantry manager. I've been here since November last year.
I'm Lisa Snowden. I'm the Apache Lethality Engineering Authority. I've been with the MOD since 2004. And previous to that, I was in the Women's Royal Naval Service.
I'm Squadron Leader Alex Ruck. I'm a Aerosystems Engineering Officer. I've been serving since 2010. I'm currently working in the Military Aviation Authority doing certification, but my background is rotorcraft helicopters. I served out in Afghanistan with Puma Force.
Hi, I'm Stu Blakey. I've currently been in DNS now for about 18 months as a level 3 engineer on the OSVP platforms. I've done over 26 years in REME as a vehicle mechanic before getting out in 2019.
I'm W1 Nikki White. I've been in the AGC since 1998, so 28 years. And I am here in JSST as a warrant officer plans, and I coach a lot of army sports, so that's one of my talking points, I suppose.
And I'm Alex Owen. I'm currently leading the comms for establishing the National Armaments Director Group. But before that, I was in the Army for 10 years in the Blues and Royals, or Household Cavalry, and served 2 tours of Afghanistan. And then after that, I actually worked at the Royal British Legion, so the big charity that we know for the Poppy Appeal and the sort of custodians of remembrance. But I'm also a director for my old regimental association, the Blues and Royals Association too.
Alex, would you like to kick us off? When you reflect on remembrance, what immediately comes to mind?
It's immediately an opportunity to pause and reflect on the sacrifice of our ancestors for the freedoms we have today.
For me, it's almost a time of reflection for what we have now, for what others have given, and thoughts and thanks to them. The ultimate sacrifice is to lose life, and that's what they've given us for our freedoms now.
Remembrance means to me not only reflecting on those that gave the ultimate sacrifice, that lost their lives, but also those that paved the way. If we hadn't had the ladies in the Royal Navy in the Wrens in 1917, then I may not have had the opportunity to join when I did.
My thoughts always go back to the beaches, the D-Day landings, quite a poignant moment. And so for me, it's freedom that was brought by many nations at that moment. And so at that point, I remember all the people that I've lost and all those that gave the ultimate sacrifice.
I've got 2 young lads, and every year that I do remembrance with them standing next to me, the more significant it becomes, because I look at this picture here, which is my squadron in 2009 in Afghanistan, and you can look across them. Most of them are barely out of their teens. We've served with teenagers, and they go to extraordinary lengths, and they do such a good job. And the fact that they are potentially giving up, their youth, their lives for their nation to protect our freedoms and our ways of life is phenomenal. And I think just making sure that message lands with the next generation to understand the sacrifices that they make is really, really important. I think remembrance for me, yes, I reflect on those that I serve with, but also I really think it's important to just kind of carry that torch on and bring it to the next generation as well. Remembrance today has become something that's incredibly personal to each and every one of us. I think 50 years ago, it was absolutely about those that served in uniform. I think today we can probably broaden our thoughts of remembrance and quite rightly think about those that had a supporting role within that effort, families particularly. My wife sort of stood by me through 2 tours of Afghanistan. God, the things that she would have gone through. I spend some time thinking about her as well. I spend some time thinking about my parents. I'm sure you're all the same as well. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did without them. So that wider armed forces community is a really important part of remembrance as well.
I think preserving memories through stories is really fundamental. For me, a lot of my early memories of my grandparents were really forged through those fireside tales of what it was like in World War II. Remembrance this year is particularly poignant for myself. My granddad's turning 100 in November.
Wow.
And we are both attending the cenotaph in London.
And is that Bluey one of his, is it?
This Bluey here, this is from my great-granddad, who was a gunner in the 14th Army. He served out in the jungles of Burma for 4 years. A blue triangle letter was the primary means of communication, and it really captures the sentiment and the experience from these far-flung places. My great-grandfather, Leonard Basford, he talks about receiving fresh rations out in the jungle in the form of a water buffalo, a very skinny, scrawny water buffalo. And he writes that he's seen more meat on a bicycle. So incredible family history captured through written form. When I was out in Afghanistan, Blueys were still a means of communication. I still find my letters from my wife ever so precious.
So when I was in Iraq in 2003, so my brother got married. So all my family literally done one whole Bluey. So I said to Pete, my driver, I said, look, I'm just going to take myself outside and I'm just going to read this Bluey. And I opened it, I was sat outside, I was opening it, and you can imagine that everyone in my family who was there at the wedding had all signed it to say, you know, good luck and hopefully you come back. And I've kept it, it's in a, you know,
That's
it's in a
amazing.
box somewhere, in a
The memory
box
box
somewhere, but
yeah.
it's literally like my whole family, a lot of them are passed now, but they've all like signed. So it's like that history of where I've been, but also that history of my family wishing me luck as I was out there.
What's the weirdest thing someone sent out to you? Or the best thing?
Some of it disguised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's bottles of maybe.
Yeah, shampoo
shouldn't
bottle.
be there.
Yeah.
That happened a few times.
I think
Underwear and deodorants was like a big thing in
Really?
One because
Yeah.
we couldn't have parcels because we were
Yeah.
invading, so it didn't come for so long that. And going to the naffy shop was always, it was deserted because everyone's been and bought everything.
Yeah.
And there was such a small amount of stock because we were on the move all the time. So when I got like a stick of deodorant or some new pants, I would be quite excited.
Saying on that one, we were receiving the boxes down the Falkland Islands during the first Gulf because there were so many sent out for females, and the big air Texans there. It's hilarious.
I had to sign for one particular shoebox out in Afghanistan, and it had been quarantined, which I found very, very, very puzzling. As I opened it, I realized it was a bit of a biological hazard. And my mother-in-law had sent me a shoebox with some olives in vinegar, and it fermented sitting out on the aircraft at about 45-degree heat.
No one tried the olives?
No, so didn't try the olives.
so. I can remember in when mail started to come through in Iraq, and I got my first packet of wine gums that I'd had, and it's something different. So like, you know, you're eating rations, and you get this packet of wine gums. My dad sent them to me, and I opened them, and it wasn't individual wine gums. I'd been sat there for that long. It was just like an apple-sized mixed wine gum.
We had a bit of a sort of 2-week period of hell in sort of up near Musakala in northern Helmand province. We got struck by 2 IEDs in the space of 5 days, and it was sort of novel the first time. The novelty wore off pretty quick the second time. I've got this 5.56 bullet, but you can see that sort of shrapnel from one of these RPGs has just kind of shredded it, and and that was like a meter away from me. And so by this point, my sense of humour completely failed. And we got back to base, and I just remember receiving a parcel from my parents, opened it up, tube of Pringles, which I'm not a massive fan of Pringles, and you know, nice letters and stuff. And I just thought, well, that's great, lovely to have that. Opened the Pringles container, and inside was a bottle of rum,
Oh.
and then we had some ginger beers, some fresh limes, so I could make little dark and stormies for my troop. So we could all just sit round the fire back in the patrol base, have a dark and stormy, and it was just like, yes, that's well done, parents, good job. Yeah.
Fantastic. Nikki, I know you've been heavily involved in the army communities.
So I think one of the things that the forces brought to my life was sport, and I played volleyball at National League level. I've ended up coaching for the last 15 years, and it's taken me to heights I never thought I could reach. So I've been involved with England Volleyball Association, and I've been the England manager for the England women's senior team, and also worked with their cadets and juniors. An opportunity that wouldn't have been afforded to me unless the army would have supported me in that direction. The forces gave me the foundation and the skill set and the organisational ability to lay something in place to build a team. I was lucky enough 2 years ago to go to Australia. So I currently coach the tri-service team, the United Kingdom Armed Forces team. And we went and laid the reefs on the beach, which felt so unusual being in a hot climate laying a reef. And I laid it on behalf of the British forces. And the Australian Defence Force were there, the New Zealand were there, Pacific Islands. And doing that was like it showed just that crossover between sports community and the forces together. It's such a positive momentum in the forces that we've got to keep driving forward. It just goes to show what the forces can provide for those bringing on talent or just nurturing that talent at such high levels. So this kind of thing to me is one of the driving factors.
Obviously, service experience is utterly unique. We've heard stories from the front lines of Iraq and Afghanistan, from the Falklands. We've talked about our ancestors that have all served and stepped up. And I think that service experience, whether it's 2 days or 10 years or more, gives you a perspective on life that is incredibly hard earned, but a beautiful thing when you get it. So for me, having served 10 years and done 2 operational tours, my team will tell you this, we work in comms, everything is critical and high urgency all the time, every time. And our kind of unofficial motto is anyone going to die? No, then don't sweat it, okay? It's not that big of a deal. So that perspective in life, what are my life priorities? My family is my number one priority. Don't tell my boss. Service experience teaches you that, okay? Because as I think the Padre said earlier, how are you feeling? Well, I've got a roof over my head and I'm not getting shot at. So, that is the perspective that service experience brings us. And I think we absolutely need to own that and be grateful for it.
And Lisa, you've got someone very special in front of you.
I certainly have. I'm wearing my the women of the Second World War popping, and it's really quite special to me. The lady in the middle is Christian Lamb. She's 105 this year. She's absolutely amazing. And I had the honour of marching at the lead of the Association of Wrens last year at Cenotaph with Christian beside me, alongside our chairman of the association at the time. What a lady. Absolute joy to me.
It must have been interesting having a conversation with her.
She was so open. In fact, all the ladies that served at that time, they can tell the stories, and it's making sure that we capture those stories.
Yeah.
So the remembrance into the future, and that goes for any of the services, isn't it? I mean, your stories, when I was shoreside for the majority of my career, so I probably don't think my stories are sort of relevant, but to some people they are, to civilians. They think, oh, okay, didn't know you did that. So
it might be like a campfire chat or something like that, but the experiences around the table is second to none.
Every remembrance, I go to my children's school and give them a talk on remembrance, or for VE Day, I went and spoke about the role that my grandmother had played in the war as a Wren. And they were absolutely receptive to it, and it was wonderful to see, eyes wide open, really listening, really getting it, getting the message. And actually, when I was in Afghanistan, we were talking about your grandfather having those letters sent out to him by school children. Same thing happened to me in Afghanistan. Whole year group of primary school kids sent out letters, lovely little pictures. One of them, unfortunately, was quite graphic and said, "Please don't lose your legs." But it just shows
that's what they were thinking about.
At age 7, the things that were in the news every single day was getting through to them, and they're very impressionable. And even though it wasn't the Second World War, that conflict was still having an impact on them and their young lives.
My grandmother recalls seeing a World War II bomber crashing only a short distance from her home, and the aircrew, they were killed in the accident, but it's still a loss of life that's exposed to really young, impressionable individuals. My grandmother, she was also asked by her father to write to an individual in his platoon who didn't receive any mail out in Burma. He didn't have anyone to write to back home. So my grandmother, at the age of 14, took it upon herself to write letters routinely to this individual. But it wasn't until after the war, 4 years later, when my great-grandfather came back home, she learnt that none of the letters were actually received by him because he was killed shortly afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you talk about civilians and the impact it has on them. The first ever remembrance parade was led by 1,000 women who had lost both their sons and husbands in the war. And that always sticks with me. They had to hold their head up and march to that empty tomb of the cenotaph. When you stand on that parade square on Remembrance Day at 11 o'clock, is there a particular moment that comes to mind?
For myself, it's a direct reflection of the young life that has been lost during my career, the friends and colleagues who've been lost on training or on operations.
Standing on Horse Guards, there's so much frivolity. It's like a big reunion. Everybody's laughing and joking. And then you march out onto the cenotaph and you're very proud to be there. And the gun goes off and then there's silence. You're thinking of everybody, your friends, people that you don't know. You feel, I shouldn't be here. I'm not worthy of being here. It's to remember the people that gave the ultimate sacrifice. And then you get back onto Horse Guards again and you think, okay, yeah, perhaps I am proud of who I am and what I've done.
It's unusual because I didn't join the army to march. I joined the army to fix vehicles, and then I've got to march again. I haven't marched for a year, but as you get up to the cenotaph, you start to. It becomes a prouder and prouder moment.
Chest puffs out.
Yeah. You know, you push down on the thumbs and you look up and all that good stuff. But it's as you come round, it's the crowds that are there clapping and cheering, and they are saying thank you, and you kind of think, but I'm still here. I'm here to remember those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for me to be here.
Yeah.
But they're not here to be here for this moment. So am I
representing
representing them?
Yeah. In that moment,
Yeah.
we don't represent our own service, as fantastic as it may have been. We represent those who have come before.
And it's not just those who have been lost directly in conflict for me. It's those that have taken their lives afterwards. So I find Remembrance Day really emotional. And I'll be honest, I've been at Remembrance services with my two daughters and I've stood there and cried because it is a moment of pure reflection, of remembering those people, remembering things that I've laughed with them about or cried with them about, you know. So it's from everyone, from those who gave the ultimate sacrifice so many years ago, right up until your present day. It affects you right up until now. So I think that's, for me, is, and I won't hold back that emotion because it is about that loss that is a massive part of the services, regardless. In the whole of defence, it's something that we're not really honest about, that we can cry, we can be emotional about it. So I think that's an important thing to reflect on. Remembrance is a very poignant moment, like you've already said, but it is checking in on those who, you know, might be struggling, who you don't see struggling.
You don't know what people are going through, and just having that little lifeline to a shared experience could mean everything to them.